Mimi Show. I pray everyone is doing well. Keep Yahweh first. It's the Mimi Show, and I'm here to help my people. Knowledge is power, so here's some tools to help you grow. Mentally, or physically, a spiritual thing. That making change to our life, now that's a beautiful thing. As we sit here and talk about the issues that affect us. A change by electing the right people. Changing the law, but first, we must do three things. Inspire, uplift, and empower each other. What you don't know can ultimately hurt you. Let's change the way we think. Change the way we eat. Because at the end of the day, I want us all to win and live a purpose. Let's go. Welcome back. What's going on, guys? It's Nene Adams. I'm in the building. Welcome back to another Monday, another segment that we're going to have on. It's a windy Monday, so I pray everybody is safe and protected. So today we're going to be having Juwan Blocker on, and he's going to be talking to us about, being activists, voting. We're going to also talk about trade school, increasing the Black capital, and also about the Electoral College. So right now he's out and about, actually physically at a voting poll. So we're going to get him on in a little bit. But first, you know how I like to get down. I want to make sure that we bless this room. As you guys can see, I kind of changed it up a little bit. It was for good reasons, but let's go ahead and bless this room, and let's go ahead and get started with the conversation. All right. Heavenly Father, God, I come to you and just give you all the glory and all the praise. Just want to take the time out right now to say thank you. It's not too often that we give you the credit that is deserved. So right now we just ask for a wave of understanding and for us to just go out there and be proactive and vote, exercise our right to vote so that we can make change and be that change, God. Be with us spiritually, mentally, physically through all our lives, and to pray that we can be a blessing to someone else. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. Sometimes it takes that word just to get you moving and get you going, and that's what I love to do. But one thing I want to stress to you guys, go vote. Tomorrow is the last day for the presidential elections. So go out there and vote. It's important. This is why I'm rocking this shirt. So you guys know, hey, Frank, go vote. It's so important. If it wasn't for our ancestors before, I had some pictures, but I don't think they're coming up. But anyway, if it wasn't for them to sacrifice so much, they got beaten, they got kicked, they got sprayed. And it's so crazy, and it's ironic because it's happening now. It looks like we're reverting backwards. So guys, don't let anybody intimidate you from voting. Don't think that your vote doesn't matter. Don't think that you can't make a difference, because you can. So make sure you go out there, be an informed voter. We have one more day to make a difference. And regardless, at the end of the day, whoever it is, we still got to get up and pick up and move and get the pieces going and make a change somewhere else. So don't forget about that. I have my sister's about to come on right now, and she is going to go ahead and say it to in Spanish. When she gets on. Samantha, we waiting on you.
Hi, hola.
What's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Good.
And I'm here today to talk about voting in Spanish. Okay. Mañana es el último día para votar por las elecciones presidenciales de 2020. Si vota en las elecciones anticipadas, excelente trabajo. No es demasiada tarde. Encima de su lugar de votación registrado y imita su voto. Todos necesitamos unirnos para bajar la diferencia. Sea el cambio y vote. Back to you, Nene.
I love it. Thank you, Sammy.
See ya.
Hey, girl. Hey, guys. So make sure you educate yourself and go out there and vote. I'm going to go ahead and add Juwan on right now. Like I told you before, he is out and about in the scenes. Hey, Juwan.
Hey,
can you hear me?
how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I'm happy to be here. I can hear you, but it does come in and out. I don't know if it's because of where I am or what. Do you have a possible caller number? If not, I'm fine using this if you can hear me clearly. I just didn't want to, keep going back and forth. I'm sorry about that.
No, I mean, I can hear you. It is like a little back and forth, a little delay, but for the most part, it doesn't sound too bad. So we can definitely hear
too easy.
Yeah. So
okay.
I definitely wanted the people to see that you're actually out there physically at a poll site, right? and it's
Sure.
a lot of people that are out there that are voting. Can you tell us a little bit what's going on out there? Seem like a lot of
Sure.
people.
Yeah, sure. So, early voting. Today's the last day of early voting in the great state of Maryland. For those that, so essentially early voting, let's say, so essentially early voting, if you decide to vote early, which is what I encourage, you have a better shot at there not being long lines as opposed to waiting to the day of the actual election to go ahead and vote. One perk when it comes to early voting is that you don't have to vote at your home precinct. As long as you're, for example, if you're a resident of Prince George's and you're a voter in Prince George's, you can go to any polling site, early voting polling site in Prince George's County and vote. And so today I am out of Suitland at one of their community centers, wrapping up the last day of early voting, supporting a great candidate running for the Prince George's County Board of Education.
I love it. I love it. So we're gonna talk a little bit about you and kind of like some of the things that you've already done. You're only 22 years old, and you have held more positions than a lot of us have ever held before when it comes to in government, right? So you kind of motivating me to get out there and be that change as well. So you are a proud member or native of Prince George's County. So shout out to PG County. You also attended Parkdale High School. With that, you were a PG County Board of Education student member. You were also a former candidate for the Prince George's County Board of Education. You were the deputy legislative director for the Maryland Comptroller Peter Franchu, and also the finance intern for the Maryland Democratic Party. With all of that going on in your 22 years, I have seen more students going out, advocating, being a voice, holding protests and things of that nature. They have also, we had a march called Get Off My Neck out here in DC to fight for racial equality and also social reform. The reason I bring that up because you also did that at a young age. Can you talk about the significance and what you did and the impact that you made early in your career?
Sure. Activism is extremely important, but I mean, if we go back and we look at, the civil rights movement, we look at Harlem, Renaissance, creative arts has always been a great segue into civil rights and I mean, really activism at its core root. I had the privilege of getting involved with an organization at Parkdale High School, in which I went to school over here in Prince George's and Riverdale, and I was a member of a competitive poetry group called Lyrical Storm. And so essentially, right, like I learned that the same way that I'm advocating and doing poetry to define my truth, I have an opportunity to do the same thing and to advocate for those that are marginalized and don't always have a voice. But in this case, that's in running for elected office, being a community leader, organizer, and going from there. And then I ran. I learned that there was an opportunity for a student member in Prince George's County to serve on the Prince George's County School Board, and so I ran for the position. I want to say a total of 3 times before I got elected. I was elected back in 2016, and I served from 16 to 2017. And then from there, I had to make a decision on where I was going to school because I was also going to run for school board. And so in 2018, I decided to go to Bowie State University, in which I'm still there, and I decided to run for the school board. So at that time, I was the youngest candidate on the ballot at the age of 20. I don't regret it. I mean, you know, my drive and urge to get more young people out in the community is what continues to push me forward. For a long time, I thought that because I grew up on free reduced lunch, and to be honest with you, living below the poverty line at one point, that my voice didn't matter, and I had good people in my corner that told me that that wasn't the case.
I like that. And shout out to another HBCU, Bowie State University in the building. So
Yep,
that's a good shout out there.
absolutely.
Um, you literally had mentioned that you was in the student board. So what was the process on that? Because I want our youth to understand that they don't have to wait until they get out of high school. Like, can you tell them a little bit about like how you got about to do that? Like, what are the steps that you took in order to get that to happen?
Mhm. Sure. So the way it works is right. So like every ideally every school has a student government association, starting from really elementary, middle school, and high school. But in Prince George's, they have a county student government association that represents all Prince George's County students countywide. It's called the Prince George's Regional Association of Student Governments. And so there, middle school students and their advisors, and then also high school students and their advisors, they meet. And what they do is they actually vote on countywide leadership. And so that requires you going to different schools, trying to campaign, things of that sort. And you do all of that through putting in an application. And then you go through an interview process specifically for the Board of Education. Now, the unique thing about the Board of Education is that that student school board member, yes, is a student in the school system, but that member has, for the most part, the same voting rights as the adult members that also sit on that school board. And so they also, they, in that case, I represented 130,000 students, but, they're entitled to literally everything that the regular school board member gets. They get a school board assistant, they get a work laptop as well as phone. And overall, it's a really great experience. And you get a chance to learn a lot. And so you can run for that position starting off your junior. You have to be a junior or a sophomore going into your junior year, or a junior going into your senior year, to run to serve as a student member on the school board, and then to run for any other countywide office as a student. Then you just have to meet the basic requirements, whether you be middle school or in high school in the county.
Definitely. Wow. And I know that you had talked about the civil rights movement. It's kind of segue into kind of like what we're going to talk about next. And we understand that that was like a struggle when it came down to social justice and around the 1950s and the 1960s, where Black Americans were trying to gain equal rights pretty much under law. The Civil War, as we know it, it abolished slavery. However, it did not help with the discrimination against Blacks. So as the Blacks still continue to overwhelming amount of racism around that time. So even after the Civil War, they were trying to do like a reconstruction, right? Try to get things, get the southern states away from the Confederacy, and then also integrate the millions of slaves that were there in the States to get them reintegrated into the world. So pretty much with that, they didn't want them to feel as though they were equal to their counterparts, white Americans. So what they tried to do was have like a black code, right? So with that black code, it was to hinder them from their labor and also their behavior. So with that being said, and actually with that, I was kind of getting to the voting part, our segment. Some of the Black Americans in the northern states were kind of outraged about this decision, this black code. So they came in and they had an enormous amount of Blacks that were elected into the government and even Congress. So I want to stress the importance. You did something when you were really young at 16. You changed the law out in Hyattsville to where people that are aged of 16 years old were allowed to vote. Can you talk to us a little bit about that change that you made and the importance and the significance of voting?
Hey, I do apologize. I have this weird thing with so my car is my phone is connected to my car. And so when I cut it on, like I can't hear you. And then like I literally just tried to cut it off. And it's like I heard you speaking, but I didn't hear what you said. I'm assuming you can hear me, but for some reason I can't hear you.
So can you hear me now?
I am sorry. Let me see if this works. Sorry about that. It's very weird.
Take your time. I see you got some more light over there.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Going a little area. Mute. So you gotta turn your speaker off mute. There you go. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just very weird the way my phone is. Yep, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So what I was saying was pretty much you did something remarkable at the age of 16. You got the law changed to where 16-year-olds were able to vote for the first time out in Hyattsville. Can you talk about that as far as the significance behind it and like the importance of pretty much voting?
Sure. So there are, I don't know if it has changed, but from my understanding, there were only two areas, at least in America, from my understanding, in which, or back then, that young people could vote. And so that was Hyattsville and then the city of Tacoma Park, I believe. I was really just a small. Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you. You're good.
Okay, it's just a little staticky. Yeah, so basically, make a long story short, allowing young people, and there's so much data out there, but I mean, the biggest argument, right, is that if you are able to engage young people at a very early age, I think 16 is ideal because around that time, the students in high school, they're learning about civics and government and their history and government classes. And so around that time, if you're able to engage and galvanize students to be involved, then there are studies out there. If anybody looks them up, I don't know none of them off the top of my head, but it shows that if you get them involved early, they're more than likely to continue to be involved civically, which I think is extremely important, and allowing them to vote in small local elections. Uh,
Might have lost him there, y'all. Internet connection. We're gonna get him back on, Juwan back on in a little bit. Might have lost him. 1 second. In the meantime, until he comes back on, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the Electoral College. Is anybody familiar with that? Because that's what we're going to talk about. That was like our main topic. Go ahead and voice your opinions about the pros and the cons of it. If you want to go ahead and drop it down below. Here's Juwan. We got you back. I don't know.
hey, yeah, I really do apologize. I don't know what's going on with my internet. I really don't.
You're good. You're good. And that's what happens with technology. It's all right. Look, this show is about inspiring, uplifting, and empowering. So it's all good. We're gonna make mistakes. Internet gonna go out. It's all good. We're gonna keep rolling on. You still there?
Hey, look, that sounds good to me. I heard you said, yeah. Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Yep.
Oh man, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you good.
Now, but like you said, we're gonna roll with the flow. Yeah, basically, make a long story short. I mean, you get them involved early. There's a good chance that they're going to continue to be involved and engaged civically, which is what I would think that we all want. And so that's why that particular initiative was very very significant. To make a long story short.
Definitely. And I agree in that. And I know right now I have my sister who's 14 years old and she would love to go out there and vote. And we lost you again. But yeah, it's important and we got to get out there and vote and make sure that we get the younger ones involved because I think now they're starting to notice that there's a change and they have to get out there and make a difference, not only for themselves, but for next generations to come. So again, guys, go ahead and drop some comments if you want to go ahead and talk about the Electoral College, pros and cons. We add Juwan back on. There we go. We're going to get it right, my brother. We're going to get it right.
Yeah, I know it keeps. I really do apologize. You wouldn't happen to have a call-in number, would you?
No, not for this one. Not for StreamYard.
Okay, no, I'm sorry about that.
I'm still
Okay.
playing around. So I'm still playing around with it. I don't know if you step outside, if it makes it any difference. I have no idea. But let's go ahead and talk about.
Yeah, let me try to. Let me try to. Yeah, I'm gonna step outside. Let me try that.
What's up, Coach? Hey, sis.
Let me step outside.
What's everybody doing tonight? Is that better for you, Juwan?
Yeah, that's much better. But I hate the fact that my phone is on 20%, but it's okay. We gonna rock with it.
We're gonna make sure God gonna get us through. We're gonna be all right. So
oh indeed.
For the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics back in 2019, it talked about 62% of males went on to college, 70% of females went on. So I want to talk about that 30 to 40% that don't go to college. They're in the workforce, and talk about trade school versus regular school, and having a push for. What are your thoughts when it comes down to that? Because like I said, there's not a lot of people that are academic achievers. They prefer not to learn from the book. They want to use their hands. They want to use their brain for different things. What is like one of the things that you think about with that?
Yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned that because when I was running for school board, I mean, that was something that I brought up. To be honest with you, look, right, like if you want to be an electrician, for the most part, you don't need a degree. I mean, if everybody's not going to go to college, because not everybody needs to go to college. And so I think that, the same way that we are pushing for people to go to college, we also have to make sure that we're giving them alternative pathways to still be successful. I feel like we paint this type of narrative that, well, if you don't go to college, then you won't be successful, and you won't make a lot of money. I mean, that's really ludicrous. It's very fabricated, and it's just not the case. I tell people, I use myself as an example all the time. I say, hey, look, the only reason why I am in school trying to get a degree is because I need it for where I'm trying to go in life. But again, not everybody needs a degree to be successful. Um, but I don't know. I guess on the same token, though, and I hate to be very very frank, but I will say that as a person, I do think that it's important. I hate to say it, but I mean, society doesn't give us the benefit of the doubt as they do my other counterparts, and so it's always, I feel like that piece of paper is something that no matter how successful we are, that's just something that society has made to be the case that we specifically as people of color need to have. So I mean, I don't know. It's a very touchy subject, because I feel like and I'm sure that there are studies out there, but I mean, if you put you know somebody that doesn't look like us versus somebody that does look like us, and let's say they have similar backgrounds, education, things of that sort, you know, they might pick the one that doesn't look like us, that doesn't have the degree, over the person that has the degree. So I mean, I really also think that it's a case by case thing, um, in the type of society and political culture that we are in today. So do I so essentially, do I encourage people to get a degree? Absolutely. But I say, get the degree for formality purposes. At the same time, like I said, again, if you don't need a degree to be, you don't need one to be successful. And if you're an electrician or whatever the case might be, or you're in the field in which you don't need a degree, then, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go get a degree and, have so much money in student loans that you have to pay off. So, it's a very touchy, and, it's a case by case thing, in all honesty.
Yeah, I agree. And like even what you mentioned and talking about student loans, that's one of the things that I talk to my students about when I coach my players. Is like, hey, I want to send you on a school
Hmm.
where it's free. Like if you have to go and they're requiring you to take all this debt, we don't need to go there. Let's go to community college. Let's find some other options. Let's get some scholarships and this and that. I'm a big proponent in that, where you're not going to set yourself up where you graduate. Yes, you have this degree, but now you're in you have debt to your eyeball, $80,000 debt. Now everything that you're working for is going towards that. So I am about financial freedom. Yes, I do agree that we can possibly go off to school and get a degree, but for some people, and a lot of people that I know too, they don't need it and they're making good money. So
Absolutely.
it's on case by case basis. And at the end of the day, you can go into the workforce and take a class at a time and still get your degree, but you're paying it off, right? Or your employer can pay it off.
Absolutely.
So many options that you can do, right? So that's a key thing there. Um, what's crazy is that every black city, black town, or something always had like a Black Wall Street, right? We had our own grocery
Absolutely.
stores, we had our own barbershops, we had hospitals, health nurses, doctors, we had everything, right? And it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. We spend about $1 trillion from the black community. We spend all that money, and maybe less than like probably 5% of that comes back to us. Um,
Absolutely.
how can we be better as people in our community to increase our capital by trying to find ways to better ourselves, pretty much?
Sure. I mean, that's a very loaded question. I mean, I think, you know, for me at least, I would think that the first thing is just being mindful of where our capital is being spent. We spend a lot of money, specifically as a black community, looking out, for other groups that don't specifically look like us.
Right.
And I think it's important that the same way that we invest in other sort of products and merchandise, we should do the same thing
especially when we have an opportunity to go and making sure that we're patronizing, minority owned businesses, black owned businesses.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I do. Like every second Monday, I interview someone, black owned business, and try to support them in any way capacity. Right. So totally support it. And I think that's something that we all need to do. And it's definitely hard. It's not easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we've been accustomed to, we're
Sure.
just not used to always spending the money for black businesses because we're just starting to start up and starting to support it. But I encourage you to continue to do it
Sure.
because it's going to make a difference. With more money that's sitting in there, the more change that we can make and the more power that we can have. So we got to understand that. So I totally,
Absolutely.
even when it comes down to police reform, right? Our healthcare,
Yep.
all of that, it's important that we understand that we have to do that. Electoral College, right? So back in 2016,
Sure.
Donald Trump, he lost the electoral election to Hillary Clinton by 2.8 million votes, right? So he won the Electoral College by 74. She ended up winning the popularity vote. What are your thoughts about the Electoral College as far as like its purpose, pros or cons, anything about it? So we can educate ourselves when it comes down to that, because 61%, it was a survey done, 61% of Americans want to get rid of it.
Sure.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, now, I hate to say it, but I mean, I learned about the Electoral College when I was in high school, but then also in undergrad. But I
Sure.
mean, it's still very hard for me to really break down because it just hasn't really been explained or understood that well. From my understanding of it, I mean, I don't blame the 61% of people. I mean, that's an overwhelmingly large number there of people that don't want the Electoral College. I know that there have been debates saying, hey, look, if I vote for this person, then I want this person based upon popular vote. Like, I don't, I don't think that it's right that, you know, where, despite who is the person that has the most votes, then we have to go through the system in which, people have an ability, those that are part of the Electoral College has the ability to will vote for the person that the majority, are against the person that the majority wanted to see in office. So I mean, I do understand where that 61% is coming from, and to be quite frankly honest with you, that's the reason why there's a lot of people that don't really want to vote or get involved because they feel like their voice don't matter because they have this Electoral College in place. And so, I'm interested to see, what will ultimately be done about it. But I do think that it's problematic when we're not listening to the voices of that 61% of people that say, hey, look, I don't feel like I'm getting a fair shake. When it comes to, hey, I want this person. So, why do we have a designated group of people that are casting that ballot on our behalf, whether it be in favor or opposing that majority vote candidate?
Definitely. Yeah, I believe we thought that, well, our forefounders, they thought that it would be the best interest to have something that could get both. So Congress wanted to first elect for the president, and they were like, no, that's not fair. Then the people were like, well, we want to vote for it. So they thought, hey, how about we just do the Electoral College where we can just blend it all together. Um, and that's what worked then, but we're trying to figure out what works now, right? As
Mm-hmm.
time evolves, we got to think about what's going on with right now in the current time. So a lot of people are very opinionated about that, and I'm gonna ask some of the people that are on right now to give their opinion. But I know that you're low on battery and you're out there supporting your friends that are out there running. So I want to get you back out there in the scene, and I just want to say thank you for coming on and just talking to us, and continue to do what you're doing. Only 22 years old and already grinding. So I know that God has so much in store for you. So just let me know what the next moves for you are so that we can go ahead and support by any way. And just tell people how they can find you or follow you or support you, or even your friends that are out there currently right now.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I've been keeping up with your show. I want to thank you for everything that you do to educate our community. I think that if we have more people like yourself here in our community helping empower, again, specifically in this case, the Black community, then we'll be better off. So the work that you're doing, just want to let you know that doesn't go unnoticed. first and foremost. Second, I am on Facebook at Juwan. I was getting ready to do the military terms, but Juwan, Juwan, Blocker, Blocker. That's also my name on Instagram. I'm out here supporting Kenneth Harris, who is a 28-year-old, one of the youngest black engineers over at NASA, who's running for school board here in the District 7 area, which is the Temple Hills, Capitol Heights, Forest Heights area. Again, truly grateful for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to hopefully being back again at some point. If there's anything that I can ever do to help out, in your future endeavors, more than happy to do that. And again, truly grateful for being here this evening.
Yes, no problem. We'll definitely talk and catch up and see what else we can do in the future. But Juwan, be safe out there. Protect yourself. And just, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Be blessed. Godspeed.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys. So make sure you go out there and vote. And we can talk a little bit about that Electoral College. So for those that, don't understand much about it. So it's under Article 2. So I did my little research too, because I was like, hold on, let me figure out what's going on. It's under Article 2, and it's allotted of a number of electors equal. So it breaks down by each state off of population, right? So it breaks down by population. You have a certain number for your representative and a certain number for your senators. And the only thing that I'm finding about it that I'm not a fan of is it's winner takes all. So it doesn't matter about the two candidates. If one of them, let's just say they lost by like 10 votes, the person who won that gets all the points, right? Not even the person who just barely lost can get any points. It's just like winner gets all. So I think they should revisit that a little bit so it can make it a little bit more competitive. And I don't know, what's your thoughts? Drop them down in the comments, drop them in YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the Nene Show. So that's Neene Adams Show. Make sure you subscribe to the show. But the show's not over yet. We're going to go ahead and do the Nene inspiration. So what I thought was great, everybody knows me, I love loving basketball. So I took the quote, she's just mad because she's bow-legged, right? So I want you guys, we've all been in a situation where we've had a friend or we have encountered someone who maybe that relationship, we might not know what happened in the situation, or maybe we just did something that rubbed the person the wrong way, right? But that person felt some type of way about it. That person felt hurt. That person felt like you disrespected them, whatever. So now they're taking it upon themselves that every time they see you, they're going to push your button. They're going to agitate you. They're going to do something to work your nerves. And I'm here to tell you, just filter it out. If you have to block that person, if you have to delete that person's number, you have to understand, you have to filter what goes into your mind, right? You have to filter what goes into your spirit, because people are out here, negative individuals that will constantly attack you because they know what you're truly about. And it's crazy because you're probably trying to fix the situation, right? You're like, well, I want them to like me. I don't understand. It's not for you to fix. Let it go. Let God deal with it, and you keep moving forward, because misery is going to be looking for company. So, one day that person and that individual will grow up and realize that what they did was wrong, and they will understand that forgiveness is the most important thing. You can't keep hating on everybody or get mad at someone for a situation. All right. Forgiveness is the key. I'm not saying that forgiveness is going to happen overnight, but eventually we got to grow up and forgive that individual, good or bad. All right. So that was my inspiration for the week. Hopefully that touches somebody. Make sure you guys subscribe to the show, and we're going to keep bringing you content. Next week we have Black-owned business that's going to be on. I got a powerful sister that's going to be on talking about shampoos and oils, and I'm excited because y'all know me, I'm all natural underneath of hair. So you guys have a wonderful week. If y'all need anything, let me know. Faith Works, Nene out.